All right, ambitious vets. So a lot of you that are listening to this podcast on a weekly basis are aspiring thought leaders in your desired field or new battleground, depending on how moto you are. During these times, we have all had to pivot and adapt and overcome, as us Marines would say, in such a way that has us feel like we're actually making an impact and progressing towards that desired next mission in life. Would you agree? Well, if you do, my question is, what would it be like if you could use a simple framework that you've already used in the military to think your way through winning countless of battles? Well, this battle is COVID-19. Well, stay tuned to the very end of this show, and you're going to get the complete framework from Michael J. Penney and 5paragraph.com to keep you unstuck consistently and always adapting and overcoming.
Fellow ambitious veterans, how about we take our pound of flesh back, okay? We served long and hard in the U.S. military, and when we come out the back gate, we aren't just going to leave all of our tools and all of our training behind, okay? You probably brought a poncho liner with you also, all right? So what is it that we can bring out of our service background that is just going to enable us to crush it in this next adventure?
Today's show is going to be brought to you by Combat Flip-Flops. You know, since I remember first stepping inside of those yellow footsteps through actually graduating the United States Marine Corps boot camp, and this applies to every military branch. So if you're not from the Marine Corps, totally get it. You still had your initiation process through that feeling of pride of graduating that respected military branch's boot camp. You know, we always had a call of duty. Combat Flip-Flops' mission to close the cycle of violence and human suffering around the world, create jobs and fund women's education, improve people's lives along the way. That's what this podcast is all about. Ambitious Vet, if you're ready to wear footwear, apparel, and accessories that you can be proud of, that serves a purpose bigger than where you're at right now in life, check out combatflipflops.com. If you find anything you like, make sure to enter in code AMV Network at checkout and get your 25% off discount. Welcome to the Ambitious Vet Podcast, where we believe that if you desire more than you have in any area of life, you have to become more in the process. My name is Chris Hoffman, Marine Corps combat veteran, turned social entrepreneur, family man, and personal and professional development leader. On this show, I dive into the trenches with big thinking and conscious living veterans who know what it takes not only pay the bills after the military, but really live with a sense of purpose, satisfaction, and career fulfillment we all desire most after financial stability is no longer a challenge to overcome. If you haven't already, ambitious vet, grab your pen and paper. It's time to gain the golden grenades needed to break through your fear barriers and live life of purpose with passion.
It's time to get into the trenches, dig into your purpose, and fire up your life's fulfillment. The Ambitious Vet Podcast starts now.
Welcome back, Ambitious Vet. We're right back inside the trenches with Michael J. Penney. Michael is founder and chief advisor of 5paragraph.com, a combat veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan. He served in the United States Marine Corps Infantry with 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines, deploying twice to Ramadi, Iraq, in 2005 and 2007 during some difficult times there, I'm sure. Now he's an entrepreneur, author, and professional speaker. He's co-founder of Cigars and Sea Stories podcast, spoke on the TEDx stage in 2016, and is creator of 5-Paragraph Business Plan, which is taking the veteran business community by storm. Michael is a proud father of 4, married and resides near Raleigh, North Carolina. Michael, are you there, brother?
I am, and it's an honor and privilege to be here. Thanks for having me.
Brother, the honor is all mine, man. You're doing a lot of great work. As we were saying just, before we hit record on this, just that TEDx talk, man, was absolutely spot on, brilliant. It was kind of like a war rally cry for all of us crayon eaters.
I really appreciate that. I sincerely do, especially coming from a fellow Marine. You make something, you put it out there, and really, it's all about seeing what the response coming back from people really is. I did it in an effort in order to bridge our experiences over into that community that has never gone on the other side of the world and done craziness. So I feel as though I did a pretty decent job bridging those experiences of IEDs downrange and personal IEDs that we might encounter. So
Yeah, that's great. And yes, you definitely did, Ambitious Fit. I'll have the link to his TEDx talk and the links in the show notes below. So make sure you check that out. But let's kind of unpackage that straight up, Michael, because in 2016 you did the TEDx talk, right? It's
right.
called "What's Your ID? How to Add Value During Life's Explosive Situations," which is a very timely and relevant topic for today's world, right?
Right.
But
Right.
like a few years before that, you decided to step away from the Marine Corps in 2012 as a sergeant, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
End of active service, honorably discharged. Took a good long look at the other branches and where I might be able to go. But honestly, on that third and final tour, I went to Afghanistan. I was an embedded advisor also with the Afghan Uniform Police. And while I
Wow.
was overseas, I actually came up with an invention, came out, brought it all the way to market. That was the first thing that I was doing post-military career while I was going to school on the post 9/11 GI Bill, and having gone from Camp Pendleton to the University of Massachusetts in Boston. So culture shock. Yeah,
Yeah.
opposite side of the country. Wow. Okay. By the way,
Yeah.
it took 4 days to drive across country, and on the fourth day, my butt was sitting in a college classroom.
Wow.
So it was one of those like get out, get going on to the next chapter. I was ready to go get higher education. I purposely wanted to go to UMass Boston because it was a great school in the city that enabled me to use post 9/11. Plus, it was a yellow ribbon school, and it's got a venture development center, and
Mm,
it's got access to all of these awesome mentors who are veterans. And so that's
mm.
why I wound up going there. My wife's originally from the Massachusetts, the New England area. And so eventually one day I came home and went, honey, this is not conducive for my lifestyle anymore. We've got to get out of Boston. So it was like, I need to go someplace where I can shoot guns. That would be cool. And go hunting, and get back to nature and seek fellowship with fellow veterans. And so that was very difficult being fish out of water, opposite end of the country, taking the train into the city to go to school every day. It was just totally different. But it was that immersion that I personally really needed to better understand. You know how it is, man. You
Yeah.
step on the yellow footprints. You put yourself into that environment. Whoo,
Yeah.
things change overnight.
Yeah.
So I needed that, and along the way, I got to do some freaking awesome programs. I got to go to the Institute of Veterans and Military Families, to the Entrepreneurship Bootcamp for Veterans program. I got to study with bunker labs and do other stuff like that. I took advantage of veteran status to go seek higher education. And
Mm,
along the way, put myself out there a whole lot and failed a whole lot along the way. And I'm really, truly grateful for those mentors and supportive characters that were around me all the time going, you can keep doing this. Ideas fail. You are not a failure. Ideas might fail. Just keep going. Keep it, perseverance. It's going to rue the day kind of a deal. And that right there, from 2012 to 2016 in doing the TED Talk, it was that experience which was even more challenging than the time in service, right?
yeah.
I heard this from one of my mentors along the way, and I'd like to echo it for all of those other ambitious veterans out there. Probably one of the bravest things you're ever going to do is leave the military.
Yeah.
So it's shocking to say the least. And then when you get over the hurdle of, okay, I've been out here for a while, I understand a little bit more about what they're asking, of me now in this time frame. Am I ever going to be able to revert back over to a civilian? No, especially in Marines. We've been indoctrinated for longer than 90 days. There are multiple studies that have been done on this. Us, Royal Marines, Rock Marines, we can't revert back. We just
Mm.
can't. That's cool. It's all good. I can't be a civilian. I can only be a veteran. That's what it says in my driver's license, right? So it's kind of, it's kind of like, dude, you got to accept that whether you like it or not. And there's a whole lot of people who burn their uniforms walking out the back gate going, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's like, sorry, brothers and sisters, you're in veteran status. Take good, solid advantage of it. Otherwise, it's, otherwise, what's the point? But that's the biggest takeaway in that first 4 years, to take positive advantage of that veteran status and get as much higher education as you possibly can.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's forward thinking, right? That's what I love about that, is like, it's not leveraging the veteran status to potentially, slow down your life and take it easy. It's more so you leveraging the veteran status to go out and gain more human capital, right? Education, experience, training, development, stuff like that. So you can continue to add value,
Amen.
No pun intended with that. Right?
Yeah.
But,
hey, I'm not the person who came up with adding value by any means, but it definitely, what a great mantra,
Yeah,
so.
it is. It really is. So if we could we bring up just like, because you articulated the IED process that a lot of people go through emotionally and mentally, right? During that TEDx talk. What was like one IED that you dealt with in those 4 years leading up to launching 5 Paragraph? What was one IED, man, and how did you overcome it?
Well, let me tell you right now that the reason why I did the TED Talk is because I've dealt with all 5 of them at the same time. So divorce, death, separation from loved ones, loss of income, and personal illness are the 5 common IEDs that we will encounter. I dealt with them all at the same time. This is my second marriage. I look at it like this, okay? And I can tell you, in dealing with all of the IEDs, and this is where the mantra comes from, it's adding value into the situation. Whether we like it or not, and this is a little bit of that, extreme accountability, extreme ownership, with a little bit of that 10X also, right? You're responsible for where, it's like you can't choose who you were born to. You can't choose necessarily how you were raised. Right. And then there's that Rubicon that you cross in adulthood that basically takes you where it's like, hey, whether you like it or not, okay, you're in charge of your own destiny. And so you're responsible for your own actions. Again, whether you like it or not. Yeah, but he made me do it. Yeah, but you pulled the trigger. So that's the thing is, when you get into that, because I know what it's like, man. I know exactly what it's like, where it's like, hey, I got married for all of the right reasons. I had kids for all of the right reasons, never divorced, and now I'm separated from them, and then the same thing in dealing with grief. I've lost a lot of friends along this journey, man. I'm telling you, you just do when you're in the Marine Corps entry and fighting a couple of wars, right? And then loss of income. Well, I can tell you, loss of income is pretty much the transition story, right? Because it's coming out, you're trying to get your legs underneath of you. Hopefully you saved a little bit of cash in order to have that coming out of the military, but not all of us do. I went from being a sergeant in the Marine Corps infantry to selling AV equipment at a big box store. Like, cool. Awesome.
Same thing. I didn't sell that, but I was selling fitness memberships and then AT&T internet door to door. So a little plug for AT&T, but I get that world, brother. Yeah. Totally. So you just educated yourself, man. You were in the trenches. You were constantly educating yourself. Where did the practical implementation start happening? When did you start like gaining the knowledge and start applying it? Where did you start seeing opportunities for that and all that good stuff?
It had to have been when I was at IVMF, really. And I'm not getting paid to say this, but I love their program because it gave me the opportunity to at least put myself up and out there and yes, you're in the room with fellow veterans and you're gaining that fellowship and you're taking in information, drinking from a fire hose. So that's good. We see that fellowship, but it's also, I'm a wrestler. My background comes from playing hockey and wrestling, 2 weird winter sports to have in your wheelhouse. But, when you're on the mat, you're just alone. And it's the same thing when you're doing kind of the pitch presentation. So I had gone to IVMF with a company that had already failed. And I'm like, what do I do? And they go, pitch to just go through it like nothing ever happened. And a matter of fact, the night before the pitch, it was one of those things where just everything fell apart. I don't know why. It didn't save right. It was all gone. I don't know if it transferred to the thumb drive incorrectly. It was gone. The pitch was gone. So I had to redo it literally at the 11th hour. Right. And so
man.
and so it's like, oh man, what am I gonna do? And I think the second person in the slot as far as pitch presentation, and you pitch blind to this group of entrepreneurs, business leaders, what have you. Long story short, I took most outstanding venture with a company that had already failed.
Wow.
So when did the practical application happen? It happened in the middle of all of these failures where I kept putting myself out there, but I'm putting myself into a positive situation. It's not like I'm a glutton for punishment.
Right.
I'm iterating and reiterating each time, and so anyway, I'm like, what the heck does this even mean? Essentially before entering a deep, dark depression, what does this mean? And they're like, we will invest in you. We won't invest in your product. We can't. Your product doesn't exist anymore, but we'll invest in you, and you have the skills, knowledge, and attitude necessary in order to make it in this world. And so that was a huge confidence booster, and I knew that I needed to continue on down the road. And so it was somewhere after that I was meeting with one of my mentors, fellow Marine. He was like, "You're a sergeant, weren't you?" I said, "Yeah." Well, patrol leader. I'm like, "Uh-huh." He's like, "Why don't you just do this in an op order? Why don't you just write an op order?" Boom, lightning bulb. I'm like, oh my God. And of course, the chip on my shoulder coming out of the Marine Corps, like, I don't want to write another op order. I don't want to do that. I wrote thousands of op orders. Why would I want to do that? So honestly, that right there, that moment, that light bulb, that's when 5P came in, at least into conception. And so it was right at that moment where I was like, I think that I'm onto something. I got to write something that's like an operations order. And then it was shortly thereafter that I read 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. Right? Don't reinvent the wheel. Bring together two working wheels and essentially construct a super wheel. Create a 0 to 1. Right? And so that's 5-paragraph business plan, the action-oriented business management tool for leaders. You combine the operations order with nuts and bolts of great business plans, which was taught to me at IVMF, at the Institute of Veterans and Military Families. So, and I've gone back there and talked to all of those folks in the higher leadership and shown them what I've created. They're super proud, and that's awesome. I got their ominous dominus and their blessing on everything, as I was doing stuff, and it's all properly cited. I pulled from the U.S. Marine Corps, the U.S. Army, the U.S. Navy. It's the military operations order. So for those of us who are familiar with the 5-paragraph operations order, believe it or not, all 5 branches actually use it. Even though there are a lot of guys in the cool guy club that like to just show up to the skiff and go 5 W's, bro, hitting the X. It's like, no, time out. Time out. We all have to be on the same page. We're going to do some rehearsals. We're going to make sure immediate action drills are on point.
Yeah.
So bringing that mentality, bringing that esprit de corps into business. And that's what we do with 5paragraph.com.
That's great. I love that background story of how it led up. And it sounds like it led up through just like throwing yourself out there, walking through the door. I mean, Barbara Corcoran, who's a shark on Shark Tank, right? Man, that woman is powerful, man. Made her millions through real estate. And one thing that she said one time that just revalidated it with what you just said, Mike, was all you gotta do is walk through the door. I got a poster behind me that has a boxer just walking to the ring. And, he has a spotlight on him and it says showtime. And it's a reminder, ambitious vet, all you have to do is just walk through the door. Trust your abilities, trust your resources, trust the team that you do have around you right now. And just know that, you're going to learn something. And, Mike, it sounds like you learned a hell of a lot after that experience of like pitching something through breakdowns, through a lot of IEDs, man. And then like getting that validation probably boosts a lot of confidence. And now this 5-paragraph management tool is now taking the veterans by storm because we are very strategic. And now you're actually finding a way to, repurpose our military experience, our leadership skills in such a way, man, that allows us to build our economical value in the marketplace, which is huge. So let's kind of like break this down as far as you'd like to, because I think a lot of ambitious vets that may be listening to the show, maybe like, well, how do we think through uncertain and challenging times? How do I accelerate into a leadership position inside of a company, lead a team, or, let's lead an industry during these times? So let's kind of start breaking down the 5-paragraph management tool right now, starting with situation. What is that and why is it important?
Absolutely. So I'm so glad that you're on point with all of this stuff. It's so great. Situation, as far as highlighting the need, the problem opportunity that we see that's out there. Okay. So business leaders need a very simple method to alleviate that pain of business planning in order to enable them, others, the members of their team, to see the vision. So that way they can carry out the work that needs to be done. I know what it's like being a visionary. You need to get it out of your head, down on paper. Manifest destiny enables your team to be able to carry out that vision. Okay, so that little bit of hard work up front that you're going to have to do, that I'm asking for everybody here, is to take the vision out of your head and put it down on paper. All right, so I see this all the time out there, the need as far as in business leadership, as visionaries need to pull it out of here, put it down on paper. And I originally constructed this, I want you to know, because it's the military operations order format. Great, that's awesome. That's a very human, intuitive way to put your plan down on paper so that we as a team can carry it out. It's human intuitive. Okay, so you think it's challenging leading people. Try leading 18 to 25-year-olds in a combat zone, and we have rocket launchers and other stuff. I mean, how do you maintain accountability of that, right?
Right.
So the situation, the need that these business leaders and our ambitious vets have is a very simple method to pull it out of their mind, put it down on paper so that others have the ability to be able to carry out that vision.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Yeah, I love that, because if you don't know the kind of like the situation or the circumstance, you don't know how to, start planning from there. So I love that. So let's move on. Let's move on to mission. What is that? Why is that important?
Right. So mission of 5-paragraph. We provide you a tool, the 5-paragraph business plan, which is it's a notebook. For those of you who are fellow Marines that are out there, it's very similar to an MCI. I come from a curriculum developer background. I'm a formal school instructor. So we aim to train you fine folks through auditory, visual, kinesthetic learning. Starts with a book at 5paragraph.com, as well as you're going to gain entrance into the 5P inner circle, a little bit of foreshadow for what's to come. So we are providing auditory, visual, and kinesthetic learning experiences to you, the ambitious vet, the business leaders that are out there, in order to ensure that your business can raise the capital, secure the resources, get the green light from higher, whatever the case may be, to go carry out your mission. And this works entrepreneurially and intrapreneurially. Okay, and this is really the key right there, that entrepreneur and intrapreneur. Because as we get into the execution paragraph and we talk about the intention and the desired end state of this, we as entrepreneurs, we're looking for intrapreneurial leaders. Gifford Pinchot III coined the term intrapreneur, to operate entrepreneurially with the guidance, backing, and resources of your greater overall organization. Okay, so for those of you who are senior vice presidents and vice presidents, yeah, you're intrapreneurs. For those of us who are platoon sergeants, platoon commanders on the ground, section leaders, and special operation teams, we were acting intrapreneurially. Peter F. Drucker, another management godfather, he's the creator of the modern MBA program, which was founded out of Claremont College in California. But Peter Drucker is like business 101 type stuff that you get issued in business school. But he talks specifically about platoon commanders, and this was in Vietnam, where he says, hey, how do you handle things when something happens out in the bush, how do you handle it? Well, I can't be everywhere at once. I have to delegate that authority to someone who then carries out the action and then comes back and gives observations. Boom, key right there. We have to be able, as entrepreneurs, to delegate our authority to someone. And when we do that, they're going to go carry out the action. It's not just task, condition, and standard. They're going to carry out the action, and we expect them to debrief, to give us their observations. If you're going to delegate authority, again, we're in the execution paragraph. If you're going to delegate authority, you have to delegate the ability to make observations. You're not going to be out there in the bush with them, right? And this is huge, especially for leaders who deal with the micromanagement, right, all the time. So, because how do you get the green light? How do you get somebody off your back? You pull it out of your head, you put it down on paper, you brief it to them, and then you're like, because look, man, I don't have any expectations, all right? Unless I pull it out of here and put it down right here on paper, like in the business world, we call them contracts, right? Yep. How do you know what's expected of you? Well, if it's not in the contract, it ain't expected of me. So what? I guess I could put icing on the cake and give you a little extra so that way you want to have a contract with me the next go around, right? But that's the thing, that you want your people to have that contractual obligation with you, right? Put it down on paper so that way your leaders know exactly what the standard is, what they're going to be held accountable for, what will be expected of them. So, and then that desired end state for us the desired end state of paragraph.com is for you fine folks, the ambitious vets that are out there, to have this very simple method, a 5P military management method, and be able to align with fellow 5P users. And so here's how I use 5P. They're the same 5 paragraphs, but you've customized it for your bakery, and you customized it for your marketing, and you customized it for your media company, but we can all speak the same lingo, which is exactly, it harkens back to what we did in the military, because we have 5 different branches and we have all of these occupational specialties. How do you get them to co-align? Because each one also has different processes and different management methods, right?
True.
So I'll tell you, inside of the execution paragraph is where Agile Scrum would be for if you're going to develop software. Inside of the execution paragraph is where Plan, Do, Check, Act is going to be for if you're going to manufacture some sort of hardware equipment. If you're healthcare, because we've done work with healthcare, your relationship-based care process is going to be inside of the execution method. Yeah. So, this is how generals understand what the scope is going to look like, and then all the way down to the leaders on the ground, all using the same template. So that is our desired end state, is that organizationally, your organization, ambitious vet, you have the ability to pick up 5P, no matter where you're at, whether you're a business leader or you are the founder of your organization. You can get the vision out of your head. You can put it down on paper. Now people see exactly what you're talking about. And so it is for the action-oriented business leader, right? Our goal, or our role as leaders, what is expected of us is to take in the observations from other people, put that down on paper, and then be able to make sense of it all into a clear, concise plan that is well articulated, so that way we can all cohesively take action. And we each have our role, and we know what we're doing, and we see our natural overlap, but we're also not stepping on each other's stuff. And so it starts by going to 5paragraph.com. You can see right there, you get the book free plus shipping, and then you'll get entrance into the inner circle. So
that's great. That's great. So I want to add something there, because what you have created, from what I can understand it, from just knowing mutual friends that have endorsed it of ours on the back end of things, and just seeing kind of the template come to life inside this conversation, man, is that, a lot of veterans, they get out, they're ambitious. Their visions are bigger than what their skill sets and abilities can execute on. one thing that has us as ambitious vets thrive is a roadmap or framework, something for us to just plug our high performance in, right? And what I'm hearing, man, is like you've created a framework for us to kind of just plug and play, right? And
Correct.
to your point on 5paragraph.com, you get to lead like a general again, right?
There you go.
I mean, I don't know about you, man. When I got out first few years, it was tough, and I had to hit a very dark place and get my pride killed before I like started becoming like, okay, I'll allow people to help me out. So it's like this will allow an ambitious vet that's listening to this to, the pride becomes before the fall. Well, you don't have to fall with this. You can just plug in what you want to do inside of it, and you can just think through it from there. But like you said, the hardest part is being able to take it from mind to paper and do that critical thinking. And you guys have knocked that out of the park too, because you have a support group. So you have no excuses but to get it on paper. So
There you go.
that's great, man. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, well, just real quickly, when we go through our admin and logistics and command and signal, because you've got two other paragraphs here, right? Admin and logistics, I need you to understand this, because this is the little bit of like housekeeping stuff that we need to be able to do. When we pull it out, when we put it down on paper, right, what we're doing is we're showing other people what our capabilities and limitations are, okay? So by putting that out into the middle of the table, I need people to understand, for one, you're going to feel better, all right? I need you to know I get it. I know what it's like running around with something in my head all the time. If you're curious about this and you want to check it out, you can even go to template.5paragraph.com. That's template.5paragraph.com. It's free. You can download the template. You can see what I'm doing right now. Boom, little surprise, free takeaway. Go to template.5paragraph.com. Get a better understanding of what this is. You can download it for free. You can see what we're talking about. But it's the same template as what's inside of the book. Okay, and then as far as command and signal is concerned, you've heard me say 5paragraph.com, but I want you to know that when you get to 5paragraph.com, you get the book, you get entrance into the inner circle, you have this support group. Just like what Chris is talking about, and for you, the ambitious vet that's out there, you need to understand that you've got this support group around you, this virtual mastermind group of fellow 5P users that are already in the game, and a lot of them are not military veterans. So here's this guy or gal who's doing support from a marketing standpoint, and now you two are speaking the same language, and like they're learning that military lingo. I got folks who are in insurance, and they're like, dude, you just made selling insurance really cool. We need to exploit the critical vulnerability in the market. Like, this is awesome, right? So this is the other thing to our fellow ambitious vets that are out there. There are some times when you're walking around and you're like, I'm highly motivated and want to get things done. How do I get people to understand where I'm coming from as far as this high op tempo, high output? I'm used to 24/7, going out to the field for 30 days at a clip, that type of stuff. You pull it out of your head, you put it down on paper, go to 5paragraph.com right now. So that way you've got the book, you've got the tools, the learning ecosystem. You're right. It's plug and play, right? But I really want us as ambitious veterans to be understood. A lot of people call me crazy on a daily basis. Why? Because I'm super passionate about what I'm doing. Why? Because I don't give up at the drop of a hat. Why? Because I'm super persistent and tenacious, such as Marine. So it's like, how do we actually convey this across to the people that we love, that we're working with? This is the other thing that it's doing inadvertently inside of homes, inside of relationships, inside of schools. People are seeing like, whoa, wait a minute. You guys all learn this in the military? Like, believe it or not, we really do. Even if you're a private and you weren't paying attention, you really do get exposed to the 5-paragraph operations order. So it's something that, yes, the highly motivated, ambitious veteran coming out who has that vision for success and wishes to be able to achieve something as an interlocked phalanx team, pull it out of your head, put it down on paper, get other people to work cohesively toward your vision. And 5paragraph.com, I know for a fact, already does it. So it's just, it's one of those things I could talk about it all day, but really what I'm here for is your success. How do I empower you? So I welcome everybody's constructive criticism. I hope that you find folks link up with me on LinkedIn, connect with me, tell me how I can make it better. I'm just simply here as a conveyance. We learned the operations order in the military. We already learned this in the military. It's 240 plus years old. Mike didn't. It's not the Mike Penney method.
You just made me start laughing. I was thinking about the first ever Marines in Tun Tavern. Probably launched the damn Marine Corps off of the 5-paragraph order. Wouldn't that be funny?
They probably they're sitting around situation. Yeah.
That's great. So I think we have one more, command and signal. Do you want to kind of dive into that, and then we'll kind of pivot the show towards golden grenades?
Yes. Okay. So I touched on it a little bit. Command and signal. It's Micheal J. Penney, Penney. I'm the founder. I'm the chief advisor. The buck stops here. If something's wrong, hit me up. And you people that are out there, you have helped in so many different ways. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, George. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Brian. You fine people are awesome, and you got in touch with me, and there was something that was wrong, and I totally admit that mistake, and you were rewarded for finding it, weren't you? So get in touch with me over LinkedIn. It's Micheal J. Penney, Penney. When you do get in touch with me, tell me that you heard me here on the Ambitious Vet podcast. I love hearing your feedback. I will be sure to get you guys resources, templates, all of that other good stuff. Connect with me on there. It's 5paragraph.com. 5 like the digit, like the number, not the word. 5paragraph.com. Go there, get the book time now. And if you're so inclined, our number to our work line is 919-827-0898. That's 919-827-0898. You can call, you can text. We will get it on our work line. So 919-827-0898. There you go. Command and signal. If you need anything, get in touch with me. I relish in it. I love the opportunity to connect with everybody.
That's great. So, Ambitious Vet, we're going to take one break here to thank our sponsor. Right when we get back with Micheal J. Penney, we'll dive into his 3 golden grenades that are going to, keep you unstuck in your life, career, and business. We'll be right back after thanking our sponsor. Thanks to Rooftop Leadership Live, which is a 3-day virtual training event that will help you, Ambitious Vet, find relevance in uncertainty through deeper human connection. Are you ready, Ambitious Vet, to walk away with the tools to turn your instincts into skills and create profitable relevance in the marketplace today? Well, my challenge to you is be an action taker. Immerse yourself in a 3-day training that will have you ready to champion the toughest issues facing leaders today with the most powerful tool in your arsenal, your rooftop story. Click the link in the show notes below. Check out the upcoming 3-day virtual event, October 2nd through the 4th, 2020 is when this is happening. And if you see it interesting, at checkout, enter in AMBITIOUS. And ambitious is spelled AMBITIOUS to take your 10% off of yourself, of your ticket, to invest in yourself, to become more. Right? It's the people during these times, they're investing in their human capital that will win 5, 10 years from now. Be that person, Ambitious Vet. Now, back to the show. All right, Ambitious Vet, we're right back inside the trenches with the one and only Micheal J. Penney. And if you haven't forgotten about 5-paragraph order, he's going to remind you, because he is shouting from the rooftops on what this has done for a lot of just veteran business owners, maybe you that are listening to this, that may feel stuck during these COVID times. You're just like, man, the supply chains, other business owners are on hold. They're waiting for stuff to happen. Well, don't be that person. Be strategic during these times. Go and check out 5paragraph.com to start figuring out how to be around the action takers during a world where it occurs like it's slightly on hold. So, Micheal, man, we have a tradition here. I want to dive into 3 golden grenades, man, pretty much like wisdom bombs that if you drop them in here, they're going to blow these Ambitious Vets' minds. It's kind of corny, but hey, it works. You can either summarize the show up to 3 golden grenades, or you can just drop in 3 brand new ones. It could be mental hacks, emotional intelligence, communication, leadership, whatever you think. What are those 3 golden grenades to keep Ambitious Vets moving forward inside the trenches?
Oh, for sure. So you mentioned it coming out of the break here. In this world, COVID, Corona, whatever you want to call it, in these overall trying times that we're dealing with, the irony is we who have virtual businesses, we were kind of set up for this. So I hate being that guy, but business didn't really slow down for us because we were set up to be able to work remote, and that's by using 5P, and to be able to provide instruction the way that I am right now, right? So I can get on a webcam and do some sort of virtual meeting or something like that, right? So that first one that I'd like to say is, wait a minute, how do I set up my business to be able to do that? And I get it, not everybody can do that. Brick and mortars especially, you need physical foot traffic in order to get in the door. Okay, but the number one thing, and the reason why I bring this up, because let's just use it as Simon Sinek's piece of advice. He likes to highlight the military a whole lot. The military, whenever things crash, we didn't necessarily see that it was going to crash, but we have a planning process that's already in place. Okay, so in the modern workforce right now, they'll plan in one or two different ways. Either when it's fashionable, hey, we're going to go to the annual business retreat and do our planning, or when our hair's on fire. When you use 5P, you have a process that's already in place, right? So I've been blown up numerous times. I've been on quick reaction force in Ramadi, Iraq. When you're running out the door, you have what's called a fragmentary order. Yes, we use fragmentary orders. We use fragos. We call them immediate action plans. You'll see them inside of the 5P inner circle, okay? So that first takeaway, I need you to understand that when you implement a process that's in place rather than planning when it's fashionable or when your hair's on fire, that process is what's going to get you through the hardship, the situation, the blow up, life's IEDs, whatever the case may be, right? This enables us to step back and take a look at the situation, what needs to be done, and how we're going to execute. So that's number one, right? I would say number two is going to be great leaders focus on the nouns. Great leaders focus on the nouns. You put the right people in the right place and give them the right things, and you're going to be able to achieve any success or mission. Right? Put the right people in the right place.
Good, bro.
Give them the right things. Focus on the nouns. Okay. And again, this is something that 5P does. It naturally does that. Okay. And then the third one, and this is, I kind of touched on it a little bit before. If you're going to delegate authority, let's say, for instance, you need to be able to delegate their ability to provide you feedback. So if you're going to write Manifest Destiny and you're going to put that into the hands of a trusted individual that you brought into the fold because they're the subject matter expert in it. Like, God bless my social media manager, Lisa. She's great. She has so many initiatives and all of these wonderful things. I have to put it down inside of fragmentary order. I delegate to her what needs to be done, and I have to rely on her observations. Okay? And I welcome her observations. Is that results? Well, no, I can see how many Facebook page likes I get and stuff like that. Okay, that's the results of it. Her observations are finger on the pulse. What's happening out there in the environment? What is taking place? What are people seeing current event? COVID's got us shut in. We need to work remote. How can we potentially tailor it to be able to work remote? She's paying attention to that, and through her observations, her being the eyes, ears out there, I have the ability to better tailor what is the action, the plan, and that's for everybody involved, right? So if you're delegating your authority to go and take action, you need to delegate the ability to observe on your behalf as well. And when you actually get in and you go to 5paragraph.com, I illustrate this on our very first home video that's on there. When you delegate your authority, you're going essentially from this dictatorship, 30,000 foot single scope perspective, and everybody gets a scope. And everybody's an observer, and everybody's a delegated leader. This is hugely important. This is hugely powerful. This is how the U.S. military runs on a daily basis while maintaining global accountability. So, yeah, I would say set up a process to where you're mitigating your risk right now. That process is 5P. Of course, I'm extraordinarily biased. Get the right people in the right place and give them the right things. When you do, you'll be amazed with the results. And when you delegate your authority to those individuals, you need to delegate the ability to make observations. And when you do that, you're going to have that well-oiled machine. So I'm going to see ambitious veterans go from, oh man, I started my business, to I'm growing and I'm small to medium size and I need to scale. How do I get my other department heads onto it? And I've worked those challenges with other leaders. That's what we're here for. If you want to hire us for workshops, breakout sessions, speaking engagements, whatever the case may be, go to 5paragraph.com. You can click on hire in the upper right corner. You can see exactly what I'm talking about. If you already went through, got the book, and now you want to join the inner circle, right there in the upper right corner, you can click on join inner circle. So you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But
That's great. That's great. And it's free access for 30 days. And also, Ambitious Vet, I just want to add that also he has a free master class, like webinar right there as well, to break it down even more Barney style for Marines.
Yeah.
If you're in Air Force, Army, Navy, you guys are a little bit smarter than us. So you like those analytics and stuff like that too. But he breaks it down as well, even more in detail, if you're more of an analytical thinker. But hey, Ambitious Vet, if you're listening to this and you're looking for tools, right? Ways to kind of think your way out of stuff, right? Because that's what had us win small battles, win wars, have accomplished missions in the uniform, right? Well, figure out how to repurpose what you've already gained out, in the uniform, out of the uniform. And 5-paragraph order has done a really good job about that. So Micheal, J. Penney, man, where can people find more about you? And then we'll kind of sign off.
Sure. So when you go to 5paragraph.com and you scroll through it, you're going to see me, you're going to see my bio, you're going to see my background, some of the different recommendations that are on there. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Penney, is Penney. Micheal J. Penney, Penney. And story of my life, it gets misspelled all the time. So, you can find me on LinkedIn. I really do hope that you connect. Just shoot me a quick note. Heard you on Ambitious Vet. But look, last thing for you listeners that are out there, fellow ambitious veterans, how about we take our pound of flesh back, okay? We served long and hard in the U.S. military, and when we come out the back gate, we aren't just going to leave all of our tools and all of our training behind, okay? You probably brought a poncho liner with you also, all right? So what is it that we can bring out of our service background that is just going to enable us to crush it in this next adventure? So that's what I really hope for as our fellow ambitious vets. Let's take our pound of flesh back.
That's huge. Micheal, man, thanks for joining the Ambitious Vet Show, brother.
It's an honor and a privilege. Thanks for having me.
The Ambitious Vet is available on all popular podcast platforms. Go to vettrainingcoaching.com to subscribe, rate, and share with fellow vets.
Again, thanks to Combat Flip-Flops. Ambitious Vet, if you haven't already checked out combatflipflops.com, they are answering the call of duty, right? They're helping fund women's education in third world countries while providing jobs here in America. I mean, that is what has our country continue to be the great nation that it is. Plus, they have the most durable, most battle-tested footwear that's created, manufactured from some of the most dangerous places on the planet. So if you haven't already checked out Combat Flip-Flops, go check them out at combatflipflops.com. If you find any footwear, any apparel, any accessory that you like, you want to purchase, make sure to enter in code AMV Network at checkout to earn your 25% off discount.